is the top of the hour. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are and what time it is where you're joining me from. If you are in the same time zone as myself, good afternoon, good people, or good evening. It really depends on whether the sun is shining on your corner of the world. My name is Zoli Swacheche, and I welcome you to Mindset Monday on this meaningful mountain moving Mindset Monday. I am a transformation life coach, an inspirational speaker, and a published author. But when I come to this platform, I'm just your sister having a conversation with you over a glass of water or anything that you'd like to have with you. We talk about anything and everything that is mindset related. In my capacity as a mindset advocate, my role is purely to trigger certain things in your mind that have to do with maneuvering your mind in such a way that it works in your favor. It's as easy as that. So we come here every week, we talk about that, we go back, we do the work that became available for us, and that is how we progress, we spiral upwards, we grow. So if you were passing by and this happened to be your first time and you don't know what the protocol is in this platform, here is how it works. You don't need no registration card, no membership whatsoever. You just have a conversation with me. So this is not a monologue. What that means is that I have a conversation with you. I want to know that there are no technical glitches between you and I. And the only way for me to find out is when you communicate back to me by way of comments. So welcome everybody, the people that have joined as part of the appointment and those that were passing by. It is a divine appointment. This is exactly where you are meant to be. Let's go to the comments field. Let's go to the comments and see if anyone is already with us too. Let's go, like Tanga says, hey, mindset babes, we are here with you. Hey, Tule, you are so welcome and I'm so excited to have you here. And you have Isaac Isake. He says, good evening on Mountain Moving Mindset Monday. Good evening indeed. I am so delighted to be having everyone, all of the people that have already joined in. Please send me your comments. We have more people than the number of comments already on the platform today. So today's topic is something that we all find ourselves experiencing, or we may, or at least we must have heard one person saying, this was not for me, not my cup of tea. It's not. It just doesn't connect with me. I dibani negazlam, that kind of a thing, you know. How do you determine that something's not for you? And why is it important for us to have this conversation today specifically? It's two triggers that I have heard today, and I thought maybe this is a message that I should share with you by way of a conversation, really. The first instance of today, the first instance that brought about the topic today was a conversation that I had with a small business person. And he was talking about some entrepreneurial work that he is doing and how he is considering venturing into something different. And so we started exploring about the post-COVID way of doing things. He does things traditionally in terms of paperwork, going to see people, letting people come to him, and he's not very comfortable with using the online route. For him, online, especially the social media, is known for all the bad things. So it is known really for all that stuff that you wouldn't want your children to get involved in. So he was not keen and not open to learn new things. And he just said, no, that one's not for me. And so I asked, how do you know that this is for you or this is not for you? How do you tell if someone is for you or it is not for you, other than just the gut feeling? How do you go deeper, especially in the business space, because we're talking about somebody who is already involved in business and is looking to grow or to take a different direction within the different aspects that are available in the business space. So that was the first one. On the same day today, the second one was someone who is a junior employee in her workplace, and she's looking to develop herself, but she doesn't really know what it is that she would like to do, because what she wanted to do did not become available to her in terms of the finances, and something which is an alternative was given as something that she could go for. But she is not sure if that's what she wants to do. She also doesn't want to miss out on the opportunity of not taking something that could be made available to her. And so we had this conversation of, if it is not for you, how will you know? And if it is for you, how would you tell? So it's the two flip sides of the same coin. And that is what we are having a conversation about today. Before we do so, Lafton says, oh yes, we're here joining you from East London, not far from Gqeberha. Gqeberha, that is where I was born, the city that used to be called Port Elizabeth. Thank you so much for joining us from that far, Lafton. Your East London is Kukompo Kanene. It's going to take me some time before I familiarize myself with these things. So, Gqeberha, Kukompo, wherever you are, Tsofimbaba, Mafikeng, Limpopo, in whatever area that you are at, whether you are in the country of South Africa or outside of the South African country, mindset-related issues are all the same. The language that we use here is the language of the universe. It's a universal language which is applicable to all races, all genders, all creed, all cultures, and everything that goes with it. This is relevant from wherever you are. So how do you tell if something is for you, or someone is for you, maybe? If something is for you or something is not for you. There are three, this is an acronym. There are three, I'll call them items, that I would like to introduce to you today as tools that you can use to evaluate whether something is for you or not. And these are questions that you ask yourself. So they represent the acronym GWC. I have a disability called Lisp, so it's a speech defect. Some of the words I can't pronounce well. So I'm talking C for cat in this instance, in case it didn't come through as well as I would like it to, clearly. Okay, so it's GWC. That is, those are the three initials, letters that I would like you to jot down. By the way, if it is your first time and you don't know how we do things here, this is an informational, inspirational, motivational, educational platform. So it is important that when you pass by, you always have that notepad, that little notepad, that whenever you get an aha moment, you jot something onto, so that you don't forget and you can give yourself time to go and expound on it later, is very relevant here. So GWC, this is the part where you get to jot it down. What does it stand for? So these are the 3 steps, sequential steps, that you follow when you want to evaluate if something is for you or it is not for you. What is the most important thing is that you must be able to give a yes answer to each. If any of them is a no, then it means that that is not for you. And you might just want to delve deeper into what is for you and look for alternatives, or what is the opposite, or where is the deviation point between where you thought this was for you up until now, or why you find that this is not for you as a starting point. In other words, what is dissatisfying to you about this, causing a discontentment, so that you can find what the polar opposite thereof is. G stands for Isaac Isake. First, Ewe, you're not wrong though. Someone too. If someone is a something, someone too, you will find out if that someone or the something called someone is for you or not. GWC, that is the acronym. So G is get. So the first thing that you ask yourself is, do I get what this whole thing is all about? In that book of mine, the second book, that is entitled Beauty in a Shitty Life, Looking Through a Clean Lens, it talks about the 3 phases called shut up, shape up, and show up. Now, the getting part of it is aligned to the shut up phase. For you to get something, you need to have an explanation of what this whole thing is all about. So you need to have some kind of a presentation of the nitty-gritties of what it means to you. So what is it that you can use perhaps? And when you get to a space where you are saying, okay, even if it is raw in front of me, so it doesn't have all of the pieces connected together, but I get the big picture. It means that I am aligned to what this is all about. It means Nanayo, the two of us are like same WhatsApp group. So we are going the same direction. We are like four wheels of a moving vehicle. So when you get to a space where you say, I get this, I get it, then that is the first tick. So far, it means this is for you. Because if you don't get something, then you're just going to fumble and you will get frustrated and you're likely not to get to the other side. Remember, it's a journey. So what kind of things may you get involved in where you would have to use this approach of, I get this, I want, the second one is want, and the third one we'll get to it now. It is all aspects of your life, really. It could be that you're being introduced to a new eating plan. And you've always subscribed to a seafood diet, meaning you eat when you see food. And now somebody says, you know, even if you are a seafood diet eater, if there are certain things that don't like you from the kind of food that you are eating, you may have to just let go of those things. And this person explains to you the ups and the downs, the advantages and the disadvantages, the benefits and the downsides of the whole thing. When you get to a point where you're like, I get it, then it becomes easier to just let go of those things that don't like you, that don't like your body, that don't like your spirit, because you get it. So the getting triggers and influences a certain part in us that is responsible for discipline. So there is a neuroscientific feature in the connection between getting and the behavior or the conduct that has to do with the post-getting activities that you are involved in all aspects of your life. I've just made an example about health. Somebody says, someone too, I think it's Isaac Isaac, he says, well, you're not wrong though, someone too. I get him, I get her. I get them, I get them. So when you get a person, sometimes you would say, I don't know, but we're just not connecting. You're not getting her or you're not getting him. Whether it is a relative, it's a friend, it's a stranger, it's somebody that is assisting you across a till or a teller or a cash or whatever the person is. If you do not get them, there is no further relationship that can happen there. It's not going to go anywhere because you guys are not connecting. You're not speaking the same language even before you open your mouth and move your lips to actually permeate words. So getting is applicable in the relationships as well. So you may want to understand as to why is it that I don't get them? I don't get her, I don't get him. Is it that there is something that I am missing to open myself up to so that I can get them? Or is it something that comes from the external world? Where you just say, not my cup of tea. As Isaac says, cannot my cup of tea be a limiting belief? Exactly what we're talking about. Yes, that comment came at an appropriate time. Because when you say it's not my cup of tea, what is your cup of tea? What determines your cup of tea? Who decided that this has to be your cup of tea and not the other? And the answers to all of those things would be found when you delve deep into the why, and why. If you ask yourself up to 5 whys, you may get to the root cause. So you're basically performing what is called a root cause analysis of whatever problem you are dealing with. And I'm calling it problem quite carefully here. Whatever issue that you are trying to understand, when you delve deeper into it, you use the why question. Why am I not getting it? And why am I not getting why I am not getting it? Do it up to 5 times. You can do it 3, 4 up until you feel this is the bottom line. This is the basement. There is nothing underneath this one is concrete, but up to 5 times will give you the core reason. And the core reason is likely to be connected to your belief, as Isaac is saying there. It could be, I don't get it in terms of the manner in which you are expected to do things, the creation of your expression of your talent, for example, your career that you are following, the work that you are performing. It's possible that you just don't get it for whatever reason, but it is being explained to you. There are different forms and different sources of accessing information that could help you understand it, but you just have a mental, some kind of a block when it comes to it. You're not connecting it, you're not getting it. Then it means you're not gonna go anywhere. I don't get numbers, deep numbers, for example. I get them to a certain limited level because that is it's not exactly passion number one that I have. So I would never be an accountant. I can only add 1 and 1 and come up with 2. But the moment it comes up with all the other complicated things, I have a CFO for that. I have a financial director, I have an accountant, I have all kinds of people that get it. I don't get it, and I have no intention of getting it. I have accepted that when it comes to the GWC, that one is not for me. It's not my cup of tea. And I don't even feel bad about that fact, because I understand that there is a cup of tea that is mine, and I have chosen to stick to this cup of tea and not somebody else's cup of tea. Talking about somebody else's cup of tea, this is going to make you understand the importance of being true to yourself, your authenticity, embracing your uniqueness, that just because somebody else gets it and they are going for it, whatever they eat is, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should go for the same thing. It's not yours. It is theirs, and they are going to excel at it. Find yours. What is it that you are getting? So that is the importance of getting the G in the GWC. I love the why. It worked for me recently. Thank you for that, Isaac. That is a testimony right there. It always works when you ask the reason behind the reason behind the reason up until you get to the root cause, because it means that when you are addressing whatever changes, that transformation that you are going to introduce will not be based on the symptoms that are in the external world. You're going to the core, to the inner part of the onion, and not just the layers that or the peripherals that have just become available in the external world. So when you address the root cause, you realize that whatever comes out from the new formation that you have made is going to reflect the new belief that you have instilled there, or the new cultivation that you would have introduced there. G, do you get it? We hope you do, because if you don't, then we still have to ask more questions. Or just stay away from it. Don't even go to the W. The W, want. Do you want it? Some of the things you get them. Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's clear. It's crystal clear. But I don't want it. And now, you know, when you don't want something, you're not going to be motivated or inspired to really go after it. When times are tough and it is calling for you to go into so much effort to make things happen, you will find yourself abandoning certain things, not completing. You will have a lot of incompletions. You will start things, leave them midway, and then start something else, leave it midway, because you don't really want it. You are doing it perhaps to please someone. You are doing it because of peer pressure. You're seeing other people doing it. You're doing it because it's part of the shiny stuff. It looks interesting and it looks flashy. It looks like it's going to put you into the same league as other people that you are looking to. I don't want to say you are looking up to, but you are looking to. Remember to always run your own race. Always run your own race at your own pace. when you find yourself in a space where you are going to compete with the person that you were yesterday and make sure that you win. You do not compete with another person whom you will not have known how much time and effort they have put into shaping up so that they can show up as the version that you are observing. You compete with yourself because you have full control over yourself and zero control over anybody else that is in the external world. So when you are looking at the wanting, when you are evaluating the wanting, you go into the detail of why you are wanting it, understanding that there is a call on you that is going to be made for the actions to be taken. Gone are the days where we expect that when we are going to speak the word and pray about something and wish for something, that is just gonna roll down, come down from the mountain and fall into our pockets or fall onto our plates. We have been given wisdom. We have been given value. Each of us has a certain value that they can exchange to whoever needs that value so that they receive that which they need. So all of us, each and everyone has got that value, but the value requires of you to perform some work. And for you to perform that work and find it easy to perform that work, you want to want it. You need to want it. You've got to want it. So wanting means that you gauge how important is this for you. For you to want something, especially something that is not necessarily easy to just reach out, stretch your arm and get it, you need to have an important why you want to get this. And that gauging of importance has got to go to the extent of saying, what would happen? You go into the flip side of this coin. What would happen if I just abandoned this and I didn't get it? How differently would my life be, or an aspect of my life be, if I were to just thwart this one, abandon this one and let it go? So wanting something also contributes towards the discipline that propels you to taking action that will bring that which you are looking for closer to you. So closing the gap between where you are and where that which you want is at has got to do with taking action. But sometimes it's like it's a skorokoro that's supposed to be pushed forward and it is refusing to move forward. So the energy that propels it to go forward is, I do get it, and therefore I know that I have a way of navigating it, even though it is not clear to me at this stage. It may appear fuzzy, it may appear too big, but I do get it. So I have the final picture in my mind. Then the second one is I want it, and therefore I get it. It is sitting there perhaps right now in my mind, and I want it, so I want to bring it closer. I want to connect the getting with the wanting so that I can then move to this area of my life that's going to shift, that is going to give me the outcome that I would like to see. So do you get it? Do you want it? Let's talk about anything now that is a something for you that you wish to establish, if it is for you. Is it someone? I'm making Isaac's example. Do you want him? Do you want her? If it is certain body, fit body, energetic body that's going to carry you to the dream that you have about the life that you would love to live, do you get it? Do you want it? Because if you want it, then you will understand why it is important for you to do certain things and to undo certain things. So you have to perform certain actions, but you will also have to refrain from performing certain inactions. Guys, inaction is action that is not directed. So when you're not performing action, it doesn't mean that you're doing nothing. It simply means that you are doing an opposite of the action that you should be performing. So inaction needs to be undone in certain respects, and action needs to be taken. So if it is that body that you're saying you would like, do you want it? Because if you want it, it's available to you, but there are steps, there are actions that have to be taken. Love Tintin says, yes, I want him. Good. Do you get him? I hope you get him, because then we need to move in that sequence. This is a sequential exercise. I get it. I want it. I get him. According to Love Tintin, I want him. And then let's use the other example of a career and the development, because the topic really came as a result of those two examples. Do you want this, or do you just want to go for it because it's available to you? Are you just saying it's easy, why not? What do I stand to lose? Or do you really feel from the depth of your heart that you want it? Now, when you want something, you tend to feel some kind of an ease to run towards it. If you were to be told that there is a race that you have to run and there are victories on the other side and you want that victory, then I promise you, you would run your life away just so that you can get to the victory that's on the other side. But if you are told that there is a race that you need to run and there is nothing on the other side, or the victory that is on the other side is not something that talks to you, you don't really want it. It's something that you already have, or it doesn't really connect with you in any manner whatsoever. It's not going to change the direction of where the sun rises and sets in your life. So you're not really going to run that fast. You are just going to do it because other people are doing it. And if you feel like giving up, you will easily give up, because the wanting is not there. The victory that's on the other side doesn't really talk to you. So do you want it? Wanting is as important as that. It does not end there. It continues. GWC, do you get it? Do you want it? And the third one is the capacity. Do you have the capacity to carry this out? Now, remember, you must have 3 yeses. You must have this tick. Many times, this part, the capacity, is the part that you may say, I'm not sure, maybe yes and no, maybe half yes, maybe half no. Let us make it easy for you that if there is even an inch of a yes, you can't be half pregnant. Either you are pregnant or you are not pregnant. So if there is an inch of pregnancy in the capacity, let us say it is a yes. And then we will allow, it's a fetus, or it's a zygote, it's a fertilized egg, and it is going to grow. So you will water it, you allow yourself to water it so that it grows. So we will say yes if there is an inch of pregnancy in the capacity. So do you get it? Do you want it? Do you have the capacity? So when you have the capacity to do something, then you know that you're ticking all the boxes, you are good to go, and then you just commit yourself to whatever it is that you want to do, whatever vision that you want to follow or dream that you want to realize. When you have the capacity, and the capacity that you have is insufficient, you feel that there is still a lot more to grow, it is a good place or good space to be at. Why? Because for as long as you're still breathing our oxygen and alive, you have to grow. The growth mindset is where it comes in handy in this area of growing the capacity. Capacity in this sense doesn't mean that I know every direction that I need to take for me to carry out something, or I know all the tools that are necessary for me to succeed in this. That's not what it means. It means I have a mindset that allows me, that is fertile enough to allow me to learn new things, that is open to receive information, lessons, learning, any form of learning from different sources so that I grow. That is what a growth mindset is all about. So capacity also means that I just have that willingness, the willingness to receive. So when we're talking about the first example that I made, which is that of a businessman that was saying he's not sure if this is his cup of tea, meaning this new way of doing business or going online and using social media for marketing purposes, for gaining clientele, for communicating with potential clients, and so on. this is where the space of moving with the times becomes relevant. This is where your growth mindset is challenged. And in actual fact, this is where your mindset is determined as to whether it is fixed or it is growth related. It is growing, it is open, it is fertile to absorb new things. It has the agility to shift and change and be molded in accordance with what the future is calling for from you. Now, that capacity requires you to be able to learn. And when you learn from different sources. Your mentors or your sources of learning are not only going to be people that are older than you that have walked this path. There is something that is called reverse mentoring, where if, for example, you're not comfortable in the space of being online, you get the younger people, those younger people that don't even have a good handwriting because they've always been working on computers, texting on cell phones, mobile phones, smartphones, tablets, and things like that. There is something to be learned from those people. You learn from everyone that is around you. But when you do all of this learning, you are creating your own model that is uniquely yours. Because remember, this capacity that you are trying to develop, you are seeking to connect it to the getting and the wanting that you have already determined that it is in existence. So the creation of the capacity that is going to get you to drift away from that which you said you get and that which you said you want is not going to take you anywhere. We need to create this the alignment between the getting, the wanting, and the capacity. So your capacity must be directed. It's not just capacity that is just sitting there and not being utilized. It is capacity that is going to allow you and enable you to even connect to the vision that you are getting, the vision that you are wanting, and the vision whose for which you wish to grow the capacity. So that is the three-pronged tool of today that I would like to introduce to you. To let's say reverse mentoring. That's exactly what we're talking about today. So if we use the example of a capacity back to the areas, the faculties, the domains of life or aspects of life that we were speaking about earlier on. When you're talking about the capacity in terms of the food, for example, the capacity is if a decision has been taken that I don't want this, I want this. So I do this and I discard that. Now, do I have capacity to continue being consistent in this? What are the supporting systems that I'm going to use? Now, the supporting systems they start with the beliefs. What do I believe that is going to enable me to keep that momentum going? Are there other people that can serve as a supporting system so that I continue? So there are a whole lot of things to consider which can be used as pillars for you to hold on to so as to develop this capacity and allow that momentum to keep going. In the space of relationships, I want him. That is what Love Tintin said. Do I have capacity to stick around no matter what? Do I have capacity to just remain grounded no matter what? Do I have capacity to grow myself and influence growth in this other person? So do I have the capacity? Because if I don't have that patience, if I don't have that capacity, then it's not going to go anywhere. And I may as well not even start. I may as well look elsewhere, look next door, try something else or try somewhere else, because that is not my cup of tea. He is not my cup of tea. She is not my cup of tea. If I feel that I'm not going to tolerate certain things, I don't have the capacity to tolerate certain things. Remember, capacity begins, I said, if there is 1 inch of pregnancy, then we take it as a yes. So it means that you need to allow time and space for the patience that is going to allow you for the growth to take place. So the toleration or the tolerance is part of the growth phase of this capacity. And capacity is something that's always going to grow up until we take the last breath, because to the extent that we are alive, we keep growing, we keep spiraling upwards, we keep evolving higher and higher. Then if we look at another example being the career, do I have the capacity? If you do not have a capacity to become a pilot, like I made an example of a pilot the other day, and you want to become a pilot and you get what being a pilot is all about, then the willingness to acquire that capacity is that inch of pregnancy. So we can take it and say, now you know what is required of you. You can go and do all the studies, undertake all the studies and the certifications that are necessary and the experiential learning that is appropriate so that you can become that pilot. But if you do not have that willingness, you don't have all the qualifications, but you also don't have that willingness, then the capacity is definitely not there. Leave it. Try something else. Try to become a plumber and not a pilot. That is the kind of an alignment that is required in those three. In the space of your freedom, if you want freedom from anything or freedom towards anything that you are looking for, there are set, for every role that you take or responsibility that you are adopting in your life, there is always a certain form of accountability that goes with it. So you need to understand that when you take a certain decision, there's likely to be at least one of accompanying responsibilities that go with the decision that you have taken. So the freedom for you to choose whatever it is that you are choosing is going to come up with certain form of accountability that is tied to this decision. So you must remember, when you make any kind of a decision to explore freedom in a certain area, do you get what this freedom entails? Do you really understand what it means to you? So ask yourself the why questions, because those why questions are going to assist you to get to the bottom of why you seek to do things in a certain way, or you seek to remove yourself from doing things in a certain way, which is the opposite of doing things the way that you've always been doing them. And in the same freedom, you need to understand that the freedom that I am looking at and evaluating at this moment is so important to me that if I were to lose this opportunity or miss out on this opportunity, then there would be an unfulfilled gap. There would be a missing link. There would be a missing piece of the puzzle in a certain aspect of my life. So I want it because it is that important to me. Good. Once you tick that box, then you go to the capacity, and the capacity says, do I really have the capacity to have this kind of a freedom? Understanding that every decision comes with the accompanying responsibilities that are attached to it. Will I be able to continue? Will I be able to carry on along the lines of the chosen freedom in the midst of everything that has been presented to me as I am analyzing using the why questions? And now from a capacity point of view, you would have to ask yourself, what is it that I am doing right now which I will not be able to do when I have that freedom? And if it is still important for me to continue along the lines of that freedom, how am I going to make up for these things that I would be letting go of so that I'm able to continue? Capacity means that you will be able to sustain yourself for a longer period up until you close the gap between where you are and where you would like to be in a given aspect or chosen aspect of your life. So those are the tools for today. When you want to understand how to tell if something is your cup of tea or something is not your cup of tea, you look at the GWC acronym, which stands for, do you get it? That's the G. Do you want it? That's the W. And do you have the capacity to go for it. And that is the C. It's important that you get the yes ticks on all three of them. And as I said, on the capacity part of it, if there is an inch of pregnancy on there, if the egg has been fertilized, then you are pregnant. It will grow in the course of time. But the willingness to actually acquire that capacity and allow it to grow is regarded as capacity for these purposes. I hope that you're going to be using this model to ask yourself those pertinent questions, those important questions that are going to allow and enable you to move and shift to the next level of your life in any given aspect of your life. Remember to forgive yourself if you have not done that up until now, but this is the turning point. This is the beginning of the rest of your life. And of course, I'm Zoliswa Cheshe on Mindset Monday. Until we meet again next week, let me read this comment quickly before I close. He is definitely my cup of tea. Thank you, Coach. Yes, you get him. You want him, and of course, you have the capacity to deal with anything that includes the growth pain, which is going to happen as you are continuing along the relationship with him, with it, with them, or with whatever else really that you will be engaging in. To Lessons GWC, yes, that's what it is. Get what? Do you get it? Do you want it? And do you have the capacity? Up until next Monday, remember that this is the part where we get to do the work. I have given you information. I have given you, hopefully, I've given you an inspiration to start looking at things differently from a different perspective. But from here on, you get to do the work because you are the CEO of your life and nobody else would ever be able to make that happen better than you would. My name is Zoliswa Cheshe. Lots of love. Up until next time. Goodbye.